Have you ever wondered why you wake up every morning? Have you ever found yourself in a moment of reflection, trying to understand the true meaning of your existence? For many, life can seem like a series of repetitive days without a clear direction. But what if I told you that there is something capable of completely transforming the way you see the world and yourself? Something that can give you a reason to get out of bed with enthusiasm and face each day with determination. That something is purpose. Purpose is not just a beautiful word. It is a powerful force that guides us, motivates us, and gives us meaning. Having a purpose in life is like having a guiding star that illuminates the path, even on the darkest nights. Today, we are going to embark on a deep and revealing journey about the importance of having a purpose. We will explore how finding this inner strength can change not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. Get ready to discover the secret behind the stories of the most fulfilled and inspiring people in the world. So, if you are ready to transform your life and discover the true meaning of your existence, stay with me until the end of this video, because today you might find the key to opening the doors to a full and meaningful life. Let's get started. Imagine yourself on an ordinary day, waking up to the persistent sound of the alarm clock. You get up, go through your daily tasks, but feel that something is missing. There is a void you can't explain, a sense that your life is being lived on autopilot. This was Lucas's daily routine, a young man who was talented but lost in a sea of indifference and routine. Lucas had a good job, friends, and a loving family. But inside him, there was a restlessness, a voice whispering that he was destined for something greater. However, he didn't know what it was or where to start looking. The nights were long, filled with vague thoughts and interrupted dreams. Every day was the same. Lucas would wake up at 6 in the morning, the sound of the alarm echoing in his dark room, breaking the silence of the early morning. With eyes still heavy with sleep, he would get up, feeling the weight of yet another day, just like the one before. In the kitchen, he would make his coffee. The warm, comforting aroma seemed to be the only thing that gave him the strength to start the daily journey. He would look at the cup, lost in his thoughts, trying to find any trace of enthusiasm. Soon he was on the street walking to work. The morning cold cut his face, and the sound of car horns created the chaotic symphony of the city. At the office, the hours dragged on. Papers, meetings, phone calls. Everything seemed to blend into an endless monotony. At noon, he would eat lunch quickly, barely savoring the food. Each bite seemed to be just another task to be completed, an obligation without pleasure. The faces around him, colleagues, seemed to reflect the same emptiness, the same lack of purpose. The afternoons dragged on. Lucas would look at the clock, waiting for the moment to go home. At 7 p.m., he would finally leave the office, but the way back brought no relief, only a weariness that seemed to go beyond the physical, a weariness of the soul. At home, he would collapse on the sofa, staring at the ceiling. The TV was on, but his mind was distant. The hours of the night passed as quickly as the day, and soon he was in bed, preparing for another day, just like the one that had ended. Each day was a reflection of the previous one, an endless cycle of routine and boredom. Lucas knew something was missing, but he couldn't find the piece that would complete the puzzle of his life. He was trapped in a vicious circle, waiting for a change, for a spark that would bring back the passion and meaning he so longed for. Then, on a particularly long night, while Lucas was on the same sofa looking at the same ceiling, something different happened. He picked up his phone and began to browse aimlessly, trying to fill the void that seemed to grow each day. That was when he came across a quote that caught his attention. "The purpose of life is a life of purpose." Those words resonated deeply with Lucas. It was as if, for the first time in a long time, he felt a small spark of hope. He read and reread that phrase, letting each word sink into his mind and heart. He felt something different, a restlessness urging him to seek answers. He resolved to find his purpose. That very night, Lucas did something he hadn't done in a long time. He started writing. He grabbed a notebook and wrote down all his thoughts, forgotten dreams, and the things that once brought him joy. With every word written, he felt like he was uncovering parts of himself that had been suffocated by routine. As Lucas wrote, his eyes began to fill with tears. Among the pages of an old notebook, he found a letter he had written as a child. With trembling hands, he opened the time-yellowed sheet and read his own innocent words. "One day, I will be a great doctor and help many people." Those words struck him like a bolt of lightning. He remembered the purity and certainty with which he had written them. The dream of helping others, of making a difference, seemed so distant now. The tears began to fall silently onto the paper, staining the letters carefully drawn by the child's hand. Dalila, his wife, entered the room. She noticed Lucas's despondent face and approached, sitting down beside him. "Lucas, what happened? Why are you crying?" Lucas looked up with tear-filled eyes and handed the letter to Dalila. She read in silence, understanding the depth of what those words meant. Her eyes also began to glisten with tears. I wrote this when I was a child. I had so many dreams, so much desire to help people. But look at me now, Dalila. I'm lost, living a life without meaning, without purpose." Dalila set the letter aside and embraced Lucas tightly. "Lucas, we all get lost sometimes, but it's never too late to find your way back. That boy who wrote this letter is still inside you, and I believe that you can indeed achieve your dreams, one way or another." Lucas closed his eyes, allowing himself to be comforted by Dalila's embrace. At that moment, he felt a new spark of hope ignite. Perhaps he hadn't followed the path he imagined as a child, but there was still time to make a difference, to find a new purpose that could bring him the same joy and satisfaction. With Dalila's support, Lucas decided it was time to rediscover his dreams. He wasn't alone on this journey, and he knew that together they could find a new direction, a new purpose that would give meaning to his life. But as he allowed himself to feel that new hope, Lucas was abruptly pulled back to reality. The hard part was just beginning. "How could I become a doctor now?" Lucas thought. "I don't have time to study. I can't leave my job. What am I going to do?" Lucas got up from the couch and began pacing the room, his mind spinning with doubts and concerns. He knew that achieving his childhood dream would be a monumental challenge. The day-to-day responsibilities seemed like an insurmountable barrier. Every thought seemed to raise more questions than answers. He thought about the job that supported his family, the time that already seemed scarce. Studying medicine takes years, total dedication. "How am I going to manage that?" he murmured to himself, feeling the weight of uncertainties growing on his shoulders. Lucas sat down again, feeling frustration take over. But then he remembered Dalila's words, the unconditional support she had promised. He took a deep breath and decided he needed a plan, even if it was one step at a time. He began to list his options, noting all the resources he could explore. Online courses, night classes, anything that could bring him a little closer to his dream. He knew it would be a long journey, but he was determined to take the first steps. Lucas decided to start by seeking advice. Perhaps there were flexible study programs or people who had managed to achieve similar dreams in difficult situations. He also thought about how he could reorganize his routine, take advantage of weekends, free nights, any moment he could dedicate to studying. That night, Lucas spent hours researching, reading inspiring stories of people who, like him, had found ways to overcome huge obstacles to follow their passions. He began to feel that, even though the path would be arduous, it was not impossible. Lucas knew the road would be long and full of challenges, but the difference now was that he had a purpose, a flame guiding him. And with this new determination, he decided not to give up. Because, in the end, finding and following a purpose is what makes life truly meaningful. Lucas began studying intensely to earn a scholarship to a college. The little time he had between work and daily responsibilities, he dedicated to books and notes. Every free moment was precious. Dalila, seeing her husband's effort, did her best to spare him from other tasks. She took care of the house, prepared meals, and offered unconditional support, knowing that Lucas's routine was not easy. For 6 months, Lucas maintained this relentless routine, 6 months dedicating every free minute to his dream. He woke up early to study a little before work and spent sleepless nights reviewing material and doing exercises. His weekends were spent with books, while the world outside continued its course. Every day, he felt the pressure increase, but also a growing confidence. He knew that 6 months was a short time compared to those who studied for years, but something inside him told him he was on the right path. The dedication, the sacrifice, and Dalila's support were beginning to bear fruit. Then, the day of the exam arrived. It was a test at a renowned college, and Lucas decided to take it as a trial, a way to measure his progress. But something was different that day. He felt a confidence he had never felt before. The endless hours of study, the sleepless nights, and the unwavering determination gave him a sense of preparation and readiness. Lucas walked into the exam room with his head held high. He looked around and saw the faces of other nervous young people, many of whom had been studying for years for this moment. But he didn't let himself be shaken. He sat down, took a deep breath, and began the exam with determination. Each answered question was a victory. Lucas remembered the long study nights, Dalila's words of encouragement, and the small spark of hope he had found within himself. He knew that regardless of the outcome, he had already achieved something huge, the ability to believe in himself and pursue his dreams with all his strength. When he handed in the exam, he felt a mix of relief and pride. He knew that the road ahead would still be long, but that moment was a milestone, proof that his dedication was paying off. Lucas left the room with a small smile, ready to face whatever came next. Because in the end, what mattered most was not just the result of the exam, but the journey of self-discovery and the renewed confidence in his purpose. Lucas knew that, with determination and support, he could achieve anything. And that exam was just the beginning of a new phase in his life. A few days passed, and Lucas's anxiety only grew with time. He remembered all the sleepless nights, the immense effort he had dedicated to studying, and anxiously awaited the result. Finally, the big day arrived. The exam results were released, and Lucas went to the college's website, his heart racing. He opened the page, and his eyes were immediately drawn to his name. With a mix of hope and apprehension, he read the message highlighted on the screen. Accepted. A feeling of ecstasy and achievement overcame him. Lucas couldn't believe that, despite all the limited time and challenges, he had managed to pass the exam. He ran to tell Dalila, who was in the kitchen preparing dinner. When he entered the room with a gleam of victory in his eyes, she immediately knew something incredible had happened. "What is it, my love? What happened?" I passed the exam. I did it, Dalila." Dalila hugged him tightly, her tears of joy mingling with Lucas's. They looked at each other, both emotional, feeling the weight of difficulties and sacrifices dissolve into a moment of pure happiness. The celebration at home was simple, but filled with love and pride. At that moment, Lucas had a profound revelation. He realized he had proven to himself that no matter how distant a dream may seem, or how many obstacles are in the way, with determination, effort, and support, any dream can be achieved. He understood that if he could overcome difficulties and achieve something so significant, then he could pursue any dream he had. With this new perspective, Lucas felt a renewed confidence. He knew that the journey was just beginning, but the success in the exam had given him a new strength and certainty that he could transform his life and achieve his dreams. And with Dalila's support and his passion for helping others, he was ready to face the next challenge. Because in the end, the greatest gift Lucas received was not just the positive exam result, but the renewed belief in himself and his ability to achieve whatever he set out to accomplish. Lucas's story powerfully shows why having a purpose in life is so crucial. When Lucas began his journey, he was stuck in a monotonous routine, struggling with a sense of emptiness and lack of direction. His purpose, that childhood dream of becoming a doctor, seemed so distant and unattainable that he had almost given up on it. But by reigniting that dream and dedicating himself to it, Lucas found something more than just a new career. He found a renewed sense of purpose for his life. The purpose gave him a reason to face daily struggles, to push beyond the limits he thought he had. Every challenge, every moment of doubt was overcome with the strength and determination that purpose brought. Having a purpose is like having a compass in the midst of a storm. It guides our actions, gives meaning to what we do, and transforms challenges into opportunities for growth. For Lucas, purpose not only helped him overcome the draining routine, but also helped him believe in himself and achieve what seemed impossible. When Lucas finally received the positive exam result, he was not just celebrating an academic achievement. He was celebrating the realization of a dream that had seemed lost, proof that with purpose, dedication, and support, it is possible to transform life and achieve what one desires. Lucas's story teaches us that having a purpose is essential not only to give us direction, but also to give us the courage and resilience needed to face life's challenges. It shows that by following a true purpose, we not only find personal fulfillment, but also inspire others to pursue their own dreams and find their own paths. So never underestimate the power of having a purpose. It is the driving force that can transform our lives, motivate us to go further, and help us overcome any obstacle. Just as Lucas discovered, when we have a purpose, nothing is impossible. It is the beacon that lights the way and gives us the strength to move forward, no matter how arduous the path. Because in the end, a purpose is what gives meaning to life, what makes each day worthwhile, and what makes us believe that we can achieve the extraordinary. And so we conclude Lucas's journey, a powerful testament to how having a purpose can transform our lives in unimaginable ways. We hope his story has touched you and inspired you to find and follow your own purpose. If you felt motivated by this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring content. Share this video with friends and family who might benefit from an extra dose of motivation. Leave a comment below about what you thought of Lucas's story and how you are working to find your own purpose. We love hearing from you and responding to each comment. Thank you for watching and for being part of this journey with us. Remember, each of us has the power to achieve our dreams and make a real difference in the world. Keep believing in yourself and move forward with courage and determination. See you in the next video. Until then, stay inspired and never stop searching for your purpose.